I love the peace and quietness of a church. There's something special about it. Yeah, it's just that quiet moment, a dream sort of.
I often come down to the church here, and when it's lovely and quiet and you just sit there and light a candle and tell her all your story.
Oh, it's definitely a national treasure, absolutely. There's no question about that.
I think it's a unique find. It's one that we should treasure and keep and mind it for other people to go and visit.
It was said that if you don't know where you came from, how would you know where you're going? But it's part of where we came from, and that's our history, and we're proud of what we have.
Faith in all its forms has long been the source of strength, guidance and inspiration for individuals and communities throughout history. Within Kilcormac Church sits an icon that embodies that more than anywhere else. The Kilcormac Pieta, because of its turbulent history, is a symbol of the strong determination to protect and preserve the sacred, and is also a cherished link to the Kilcormac ancestors, who preserved it so well through all the generations. The Pieta sculpture as a form first appeared in Germany in the 1300s, and then slowly spread through Europe during the centuries of great turmoil. It was a time where hard-pressed Christians, torn by religious dissension, war and plague, needed a symbol of hope. The idea of the mother holding her dying son was that we are encouraged to engage in the suffering of Christ and therefore reflect on the extent of our own salvation.
Well, when you go in there and just see the gaze, you can see the relationship between the Virgin and her son, and the fact that she was grief-stricken. She's not really looking straight, she's just looking in a kind of in a gaze, and she has the strength holding his arm and the way she was able to manage him on the... it's amazing.
Examples of the Pietas in marble, stone, wood and canvas spread across Catholic Europe in the 15th, 16th and 17th century. Today, many have been lost or discarded, which makes Kilcormac's wooden example a very rare find, and in remarkably good preservation given its checkered and long history down the centuries.
A girl from Trinity had done a dissertation on this, Brenda Richardson, and it was clear from that Brenda had done quite a lot of work on the context for the Pieta.
We don't actually know who carved it. There's no provenance to the Pieta at all, and I suppose that's why I was curious to find out exactly who carved it, when it was brought back from Catholic Europe to Catholic Ireland, and maybe who brought it back. So there's a lot of questions in around that. I think it was brought back from particularly Spain in the 1600s. And then of course the Pieta that we find in Kilcormac is a very different composition and form to those that have been found in Ireland. And I think when I compared what we have in Ireland by comparison to a broad number of examples of what I found in Europe, I think the Pieta in Kilcormac has more in common in terms of its composition, its overall form, its gestures, expressions, colour scheme. So there's a number of factors that leads me to believe that it was brought in the 1600s, in particular from Spain.
Pietas were usually given or bequeathed to religious establishments for altars, niches or tombs by wealthy families, and a local contender in Kilcormac was the very Catholic family of the Magaulies.
They have a very strong connection between Ireland and Spain, and there is evidence to suggest that the Magaulies were in Spain at that time and they were travelling back and forth. They also have a huge monument on the grounds of the church. All of this attests to their importance in the community at that time. And it adds pedigree to the fact that they probably were the best contenders to bring it back.
I'd rather take a tea break now before I finish. A few minutes in front of the Pieta there. It's just really, when I have the chance, take the time out to say thanks. Thanks for everything I have today. We all tend to pull out this emergency religion when we want to emergency because we're in some sort of trouble or anything. But what about the days that everything is good and we give back just a small thank you? That's basically, I find great calmness and I find I get a good bit out of it.
This Pieta has had an amazing history of survival since arriving in Ireland, although tracing the history was hard, as there was virtually no written record of the statue's earliest days. But what little that is known does not start in Kilcormac, but in nearby Ballyboy.
The monastery here was a Carmelite monastery and it was suppressed in around the 1450s by the English. It wasn't put here then, this place is in ruins, so it was brought to Ballyboy, which was then the parish, Ballyboy Parish, St Mary's Church in Ballyboy. And it was venerated there until the coming of the Cromwellians under General Ireton.
Historians record that Ireton, Cromwell's son-in-law, sent an army from Kilkenny into the Midlands in 1650. According to one account, 2 women named MacRedmond saw them coming and rushed to the church in Ballyboy and removed the Pieta.
For Coldfinnies is at the back of Knockhill, and the road that the Cromwellian army would have went towards Ballyboy would have passed that way, and the MacRedmond women that took the Pieta out of the church and hid it, they'd be only neighbours of ours. So we had an interest in it that way.
According to tradition, they came then when the army had sort of slept in for the night and they peacefully got 4 or 5 men to take it across the river, the Silver River, over to Ballybrackenbog, a place called Derry High. And there the men buried it for, it said, for 50 or 60 years.
The story is picked up by Eileen Dunn of Ballincarrig near Kilcormac in the school's collection of 1936.
2 of the men who had hidden the statue were dead, and the 3rd man was dying, and called some of his friends and told them where it was hidden. They went and took it out of the bog.
A conservationist did say that if the Pieta was buried in the bog, it would have become waterlogged and it would have deteriorated over time beyond repair. And also, the paint, the layers of paint that they found in the examination probably wouldn't have survived. So it's unlikely that it would have been buried in the bog. But like science and history seeks to explain its folklore rather than displace it. And it's really important that there is fact in its folklore. Personally, in my findings, I believe that it was kept above ground by its hereditary keepers.
The next major chapter in the Pieta story involves a Father Lynam, registered in 1704 as a popish priest of Eglish, Ballyboy and Drumcullen, who seemed to have believed that the statue was given to him personally in the church when it was returned. And
he was on the run, so to speak, and obviously he thought it was a present for himself. And was gracious about it, and he had to hide himself and hide the statue, so we're not sure about anything about where it was for then. But then, as I say, when the penal laws were subsided, so to speak, he put it into the church in Ballyboy. On his movement then to Borrisicane, he took the statue with him.
This stirred the Kilcormac locals back into action once again.
There did a mob rise in Kilcormac and Killahee. on the march to Borris again, and landed in it between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. They smashed the chapel again, smashed the door and took it out with it. And there was a fellow the name of Naylor, and he had a mare and a block wheel car.
Yeah.
He got it back safe.
And they had a procession coming into Kilcormac with sods of turf on the pitchforks, and they marched them down the street and back to their church as just part of what we are and part of who we are.
He thought it was legally his, but the parishioners weren't having any of it. So thank God that they had the guts in them to fight for it and bring it back. I don't know whether it would be done now or not.
The Pieta being buried in the bog and being moved, and the people coming and demanding its return. It's terrific stuff, and I'm sure it's based on actual happenings, but it may have got coloured over time.
If you think about the custodians of the Pieta going back to medieval times and all down through the centuries, the community has kept the Pieta safe, and they continue to keep it safe, and they want to preserve it, and they want to keep it in public life. So it's very important to them.
Oh, it's definitely a national treasure, absolutely. There's no question about that. I mean, where else in Ireland do we have 16th century Pietas? And the fact that, as Brenda has shown, it fits into this European movement, a European tradition, means it's actually a European treasure. It's more than a national treasure, it's a European treasure.
I don't know Catholic faith or Protestant faith or anything else, but there was good people out that time that looked after. It doesn't really matter to me what state they were, but they were good people that done their best for looking up at the sky to the other world, and maybe, who knows, but it always struck a chord with me, I gotta say.
Let's hope it survives, and anything that comes forward that it still survives. I'm sure it's something to hold on to, something to, if we believe, unite us all, no matter what religion we are.
The Pieta embodies the soul of Kilcormac, reminding all, both local and visitor, of the strength and determination one can draw from faith, and also what can be achieved by a shared commitment to safeguarding our heritage against all odds.